How is anyone affording anything?
The American dream is dead.
What the hell is everybody out there doing that they can afford all this stuff?
With the cost of living and the cost of rent and the cost of food and like the cost of childcare and everything else, like how are people my age, like how am I always seeing people my age who are first-time buyers? Like, is it that they've just been saving for like 20 years and have just been really, really savvy? Or is there something that I'm missing?
I think it's possible that large portions of the United States will turn into slums.
They're not here to help us. They're here to take all of your money.
They want us fighting against each other along all of those lines. Because if we're doing that, we're not fighting against the billionaires who are the ones who are hoarding the wealth that we all need to live a dignified life in the 21st century.
There used to be a basic unwritten contract in this country. You work 40 hours a week, and in return, you get a roof over your head, food on the table, and maybe a little left over to save. But look around right now. The math is completely broken. From $25 drugstore mascara and $50 snow boots for kids, to starter home mortgages quietly jumping by $500 a month, everyday Americans are getting squeezed from every possible direction. People are doing everything right, budgeting, working full-time, driving 10-year-old cars, and they are still drowning. Today, we're looking at the massive disconnect between what we're told about the economy and the brutal reality working-class families are actually living.
I don't think non-Americans understand just how much Americans are being sold to all of the time, like constantly, relentlessly. Because even just the last few days, I've been walking around going, what is going on here? I think we all know and understand that America is essentially the home of capitalism, fine, but I think I wildly underestimated it, like wildly. Because when I come to the States, I'm always on holiday, you know, New York, New Orleans, California, I've been all over, but I've always been here as a tourist. And so you expect a level of selling, right? You're a tourist, you're moving with a bit of purpose, you're doing the landmarks, you're kind of on the move. But this trip is very much kind of different. As a lot of you know, I'm here to see someone. I'm not going to get into the details. So I'm kind of living alongside of her life. There's time in the morning, like now when she's out at work, and I maybe move through the city. But even now, I'm doing my own work too. I've got stuff to do on here. And so we hang out a lot in the evenings, and we do the grocery stores. We do local walks. We watch movies at home. I'm moving like someone who lives here because I'm passing through it alongside her. And yeah, man, Americans are being sold to in a way that I've never really experienced in my life. At one point we're out and we're talking about streaming and she's complaining about the ads that come with streaming. And I'm like, yeah, ads are annoying, but we all grew up with ads. Terrestrial TV had ads, like we all just suffered with them. And she goes, no, Jamal, it's different, right? So then we sit down, we watch a movie on Amazon Prime, a service which she pays for, by the way. And within minutes, I'm like, oh, this is kind of dystopian. Because they're not ads. They're micro shopping experiences. Like the movie just stops and a button pops up like, hey babe, while you're doing this emotional climax of the movie, do you want to buy some fabric softener that will be delivered to you in the next couple hours? It's the low stakes version of, you know, in Ready Player One when they show you how many ads you can fit on the screen before the player will pass out. And then there's just like the roads, you know, just like you're driving along, the sheer size of corporate logos. In the UK, a domino sign is a sign. I've never just seen the logo off on the side, bright, like it's a bit of a monument. We drove past this one, right, and I'm looking at it going, I don't think I've ever seen that logo before. I've just never seen it that large and illuminated and standing all alone. UK logos exist, but they're not landmarks like this. Here, every chain looks like it's competing 5 meters after the next one. They're just competing with one another. It's not enough for you to know the brand. They want their light burned into your retinas. I swear if I lived here long enough, I could identify brands with my eyes closed just by the aggression of the glow. And then the grocery stores, like every time I go into one, someone's like, hey, we've got a deal on this. I'm already in the store. I'm already buying stuff. Why are you trying to sell me already? Let me breathe, love. Can I just pick up a basket? Can I just get a trolley? And then I saw one of my favourite content creators talking about the World Cup and how they're going to be doing 3-minute hydration breaks no matter what the temperature. In the World Cup, for people who don't know this, during the football, right, they do hydration breaks at the halfway point of a half, so like a quarter way through the game, because of the temperature of the stadium, of the country that they're in. Here in America, they're not worried about that at all. They're just like, no, we're doing it regardless, because they want to sell you on ads. I've heard people say that America isn't a country, it's a company. And honestly, I see it because it's everywhere. It's in every interaction. It's in the gap between the thoughts. It's in every patch of sky that can physically hold a billboard. But again, as I say, I've only ever been here as a tourist, really. And as a tourist, you expect to be sold to. But I didn't realize that that's what it was like for Americans here, living a fraction of that life for a few days, moving quietly through someone's like normal routines. It hits you differently. And I'm so intrigued to hear from Americans, like, what is that doing to you? Because I don't think I've ever experienced a culture that's so committed to turning every moment of stillness into a transaction. And it's funny because it's not the fault of Americans, it's the fault of corporations. Americans haven't asked for this. Like, what does that feel like? Every silence is an ad. Every breath is an opportunity to buy something. And like, I really hope this doesn't come across judgmentally. I'm just shocked. I've never experienced this before. I think ultimately I'm realizing that I don't think the rest of us are realizing just how much noise you're all living with.
Am I the only one that's wondering how people are surviving now? I mean, let's just say you drive through a neighborhood, you see a house. You know, that house used to be half as much just a few years ago. Now it's twice as much. That's a big bill. That's a major part of your expenses. You'll see people, they got a house, they'll have 2 new cars or 2 cars that you could tell they're probably making payments on. Let's say you got a couple kids, even worse, you got a couple kids. Maybe they have to be in daycare because you're working. Daycare is insanely expensive now. There's the cost of everything. Cost of electricity is up. The cost of food's way up. The cost of insurance is double what it was just years ago. For everything, your house, your car, both cars. I mean, I'm just wondering, like, you know, paychecks haven't really gone up at all in the last 5 years since COVID started, but yet everything is just insanely more expensive. Are people really just, is it all a front? Are people actually broke and they have no actual money? Are they just leveraged with huge amounts of debt and that we just can't tell? It just appears like they're doing well? Or is everybody just rich? Like, what's going on out there? How are people affording a house and 2 new cars and taking care of a kid, 2 kids, 3 kids, and then just everything else? I mean, you know, you got all the other things you got to buy. You know, doesn't matter if it's soap, you know, it doesn't matter if it's clothes, shoes. I mean, you know, there's just general life. Then there's just doing things. You go to the movies, you go out to eat sometimes. It's just everything. Everything's so expensive now, and I'm just wondering, what the hell is everybody out there doing that they can afford all this stuff?
Ain't no way. Ain't no fucking way. Not at that. You serious?
The American dream is dead. People don't have a future to look forward to. And it comes back to the cost of living now and the utter uncertainty about whether we'll be able to afford to live at all in the future. We can't count on our health care because your health care depends on your employment, if you're so lucky, and the cost goes up every year. And if you lose your job, you also lose your health care. We can't count on good housing because the rent goes up every year and getting a mortgage has become inaccessible for way too many. If you have kids, you don't know if you're going to be able to afford to put your kids in daycare or what the cost of their education is going to be. And if you're aging, you don't know if you're going to be able to collect on Social Security, which was a promise that was made 90 years ago. And now Donald Trump and Tom Barrett are trying to break that promise. The fact of the matter is that there are billionaires in San Francisco and New York who are eating the whole pie and are leaving the rest of us to fight over the crumbs, while they divide us with social media algorithms. They want us fighting against each other. And Trump is a master at this. Every vector of division in society he exploits, whether it's race, religion, where you were born, gender, even partisanship, Democrats versus Republicans. They want us fighting against each other along all of those lines. Because if we're doing that, we're not fighting against the billionaires who are the ones who are hoarding the wealth that we all need to live a dignified life in the 21st century.
How is anyone affording anything? Because everything is expensive. It's like looking at Zillow and there's like a 2-bedroom townhouse that's a fixer-upper and it's like $875,000. Get bent. Or you're paying like $1,200 a month for some shitty Honda that like screams when you start the engine. Like, I don't understand. And like concert tickets, I know I've mentioned this before, but they're like $600 just to like sit behind a pole. But if you want like a decent area where you can breathe the same air as the freaking stage, it's like $900. What the Or like all these people are going on these lavish vacations to like Greece or like Ireland. What? Or like kids' sports fees. They're like $300 and you get like some shitty polyester jersey and you don't even get shorts. It's just the jersey. Is this real life? So I'm convinced either one of a few things is happening. People are selling their feet for money. They're freaking selling plasma. They're literally selling nose nachos, or they're married to someone super wealthy, because I have no idea how the hell anyone is affording to live right now.
The only fix to our current situation is complete, intentional, and deliberate economic withdrawal. Now, economic withdrawal to my understanding, is a little different from boycotting. Boycotting is withholding temporarily, looking for a change, right? And that's not going to work anymore. These people have shown their true colors. We are living in the world in their true colors, okay? Don't forget that. Economic withdrawal is complete withdrawal. The only power we have is money, right? That's just the truth, right? Wealth has conflated with survival, power. It is status. Wealth has been overconflated with way too many things. We have to pull our money out of these systems entirely and build new systems with the money we pull in our image. We are seeing now the 1%, and they're not even elites. They're not elite, excuse me. They are more so insecure addicts who coincidentally inherited, who got lucky, people. I mean, let's just talk about it how it is. They got lucky, but they also so happen to be narcissistic psychopaths who only care about wealth, right? We are living in their world, in their image, built by people who only care about wealth. We have to pull our wealth out of their systems, out of their hands, and show them that we understand where the real power is at, and we have to rebuild systems that benefit the people, the 99%, the proletariat, the working class. Do you guys understand what I'm saying? Economic withdrawal starts as boycotting, but eventually turns into, we can do things better for ourselves, better than anybody else can, right? We're always listening to somebody who isn't present, who isn't within 5 miles of telling us what to do. Yet we are all going to our work with each other, doing the jobs, having fun with each other, upholding our communities, making our communities run. These people are only facilitators, mediators, because they inherited a bunch of money, or they don't have a shred of empathy or humanity in their bones, and they just decided to step on the backs of others to get what they wanted. These are the people that we're effectively listening to. After hearing that, would you want to continue listening to these folks? Economic withdrawal is the future. It is beyond protesting. It is us investing in ourselves, and realizing that we don't have to work for somebody else. The only reason we think we have to work for somebody else because slave culture has been perpetuated worldwide. And until we can deconstruct that and realize we are the ones who do the work, and we are the ones who should be building heaven on earth for ourselves, while they sit in their jets, they sit in different countries, they sit in their big ass houses, while their checks literally hit their account day in and day out. God bless.
All these big corporations and the government hate the people that they say that they serve. They're not here to help us. They are here to take all of your money and assist in helping you lose all of your limbs and your teeth. You know, in Latin, the word government, right? The word govern in Latin is to restrict or control. And the word ment, M-E-N-T, is the Latin root for the word mind. So the word government in Latin literally is like restrict your mind or control your mind. It's the government.
Look it up.
Yeah, look it up. Hashtag look it up.
Cost of living increases are not raises. Like we just did at our company that I'm the CEO of, we just did cost of living increases, and we did them for everybody in the company. Social Security Administration said 2.8% was the cost of living increase. Great, everybody gets that cost of living because that's the pace of inflation, just to keep up. If you are a company who's out there and you're saying, hey, here's your raise of 3%, when really it's just cost of living, that's not the same thing. That's not the same thing. You need to give raises separately from cost of living increases, and raises come from doing a great job. Cost of living increases are just to keep up with inflation. That's it. It is your basic duty as a leader to make sure that people are taken care of, and moving people up to keep up with inflation is just a good thing to do. I don't believe that the government should tell us to do this. I just believe that you need to do it as a leader. Do the right thing. take care of your people.
Hey guys, I'm at Walmart. Check this out. Look at the price on these snow boots for kids. This is absolutely absurd. We're supposed to keep our kids' feet warm. $50 for a pair of snow boots? Insane.
This is one of those things I talk to my friends about, but I've never said publicly. Do you ever wonder how people are affording things? Like, my husband and I do pretty decently. We own a home. We each have a car with car payments. We have a moderate amount of student loan debt. We have one kiddo. We live in a rural town outside of Portland, Oregon. I feel like as far as millennials go, we're probably pretty middle of the road. And I think our spending is probably pretty middle of the road too. I budget, I try to watch our bills. We don't do a lot of shopping, but Amazon shows up more than I'd like. But then I see people who are like regular, and by the way, no judgment passing on these. This is just me wondering how this is possible. I see people who are regularly getting their nails done, regularly getting their hair done. They're constantly buying new home decor items. They're constantly buying new clothing that's on trend. Like, I just watched a video of a woman talking about how her costs, for a pedicure are $200 for every pedicure. And like, while that's great, and I'm sure it's like a gorgeous pedicure, I don't doubt that the service is awesome. I'm just like, how is somebody affording to do that regularly? And moreover, like, how are there enough people who can afford to do that to like make that service worth it, I guess is part of it too.
How come it's always we can't afford to pay our workers more than $15 an hour, but never we can't afford to pay our CEOs millions of dollars a year?
Guys, I think I'm crashing out. This is the indicator of the recession. You can't tell me toothpaste is all $7, $7, $7, $7, $10. Like, dude.
It's possible that large portions of the United States will turn into slums before the end of the Trump administration. And if that sounds insane, know that India was once the pinnacle of intellectualism and exploration and trade, and now they have slums with more than 1 million people in them. So throughout the arc of history, we have seen that great cultures, places that thrived and had education and prosperity, very quickly can fall and have large portions of their population living in slums while palaces still exist. And most people in the United States have never seen a slum firsthand. I have, and it is terrifying to see the conditions that people live in. But what I'm seeing with the increases in the homeless population here in the United States, because people just can't afford housing or basic needs being met, is that that's where it starts. And this isn't to malign anyone. I don't think that there's anything inherently bad about the people who become homeless. I think it's just a symptom of the larger lack of support and culture, but that is exactly what the Trump administration is doing. They are stripping away protections that exist. So think about social safety net programs, things like Medicare and Medicaid, the Affordable Care Act subsidies. He doesn't want those to exist anymore. Now, if we scrape by the skin of our teeth and we somehow manage to pass an extension on those, we might delay some of the worst outcomes when it comes to healthcare. But look at housing. Look at living wages. Look at the affordability of groceries. All of that lack of affordability and just inability for us to make ends meet in spite of the fact that we're working full-time jobs, but also jobs are becoming less and less available. So things have changed faster than I think a lot of us thought was even possible. And I think that the direction that we're going as a country is really, really scary. And so we need to wake up to the realities that not only is this a possible thing, but I think it might be the goal. The Trump administration doesn't want a thriving middle class because that doesn't actually help them achieve their goals. They want ultimate control, and they want a very select few individuals to control all of the wealth, while the rest of us are essentially just slaves. And they really don't care if we die. Look at things like Project Esther. Look at things like Project 2025. The goal is not to develop and foster a thriving society, which is what our government should be doing and why we pay taxes, right? To support the infrastructure that allows us to live high quality lives. That is not what this government is doing. That is not what this administration is doing. They are taking every single tax dollar that we give them and they are funneling them into the pockets of the ultra wealthy, into their war machine, into more and more ways that they can build AI data centers that destroy the environment, but they don't care because they think that they're protected by their wealth. So I think it's time for us to all really like wake up to this reality and start thinking about how we can behave as individuals that will resist this slide. And the very first thing is like recognizing that yes, it can happen here. It is happening here. And by turning away from that reality, we're making a conscious choice to allow people who we think are more likely to have that eventuality live that reality. But the reality of it is that none of us are safe unless we have $1 billion in our bank accounts. And there's not very many of us who do.
My mortgage is going up by over $500 a month, so let's talk about it. I live in a starter house. Like if you saw my house, we would all agree that I live in a starter house, and my mortgage is already $4,300 a month. However, I got a letter in the mail saying that my mortgage is actually increasing, and it's now going to be $4,800 a month. It's going from $4,300 a month to $4,800 a month, and I've owned this house for like 18 months. I bought it in the summer of 2024, so do the math. It's not even been 2 years at this point, and that doesn't like factor in any of the improvements that I've made on this house. I've already poured over like $75,000 into this house. I'm constantly putting money into like updates because it's outdated. It needs updates, it needs repairs, just like all of the things that come with being a homeowner. And a couple years ago I made a video talking about why I never wanted to own a house, and I talked about things like this. And my feelings are the same. I am very grateful and very fortunate that I was able to buy a house in the area that I did buy a house in. Like, it is a great area. It's a great school district. But like, genuinely, the fact that I'm 28 years old and have a mortgage that is essentially $5,000 a month for a starter house that I still have to like update and take care of and repair just feels absolutely criminal.
I just checked my mail for the first time probably since October. My mortgage is going up in February. It's going from $228. Well, right now I pay $2,282.91 every month. It's going up to $2,547. Are they out of their mind? Why? Why is this happening? This looks like gibberish.
Guys, are we tripping right now? Or is mascara actually $25
for Lash Paradise?
Look, this is one of the mascaras I use, $21.99. Wait, what? $21.29.
Bro, even Great Lash. This is $17.
What?
$17, bro.
Are we tripping
my
right
shit
now? Is
for
this
$6?
I'm so confused.
What is actually happening?
I'm just going to lay myself bare here, because something that I really want and something which I really struggle with is that I really want to buy a house, and I'm 35 and I'm a first time buyer. Like, how are first time buyers in their 30s now affording to buy a house? Because I bought a house maybe 11 years ago when I was with my ex, and it was a 3-bedroom semi-detached house, and I bought it for 150 grand, and I literally only had to save 10 grand for deposit. Like, I lived at home and it took me like 8 months and I had 10 grand for deposit. Like, that now would be like fairly achievable. But if you want, like, I'm a mum, if you want a family home, and even a 3-bed semi would be great right now, but like, you need like at least 70, 80 grand for deposit. And with the cost of living and the cost of rent and the cost of food and like the cost of childcare and everything else, like, how are people my age, like, how am I always seeing people my age who are first time buyers? Like, is it that they've just been saving for like 20 years and have just been really, really savvy? Or is there something that I'm missing? Because it's something which like pretty much lives in my head rent free. And I'm like, am I ever going to achieve this? Because how are people doing this? So if you know the secret, if you know the secret sauce, please tell me.
My fiance and I are trying to buy a house, and it is brutal out there. There are 3 options that we can pursue: renting, buying a condo or townhouse, or buying a house. I'm going to walk you through why each of the 3 options are currently extremely poor. Renting a house in New Jersey, especially one near the Princeton area, is going to cost over $30,000 a year, with the average rent cost being between $3,000 to $4,000. So you multiply that by 12 months, That's $36,000 to $48,000 a year. Insane, especially if you're trying to get a nice spot. That's stuff that you don't get back anyway. So you're pretty much paying to just live there, and you will never get a return on asset for that. Condos and townhouses are just as bad, if not worse, because if you buy a townhouse or condo, you have to pay the HOA fees, which they'll list on realtor.com as, say, $200 to $500. And in doing so, you think, okay, that's a consistent fee. It's not. New Jersey's the second state to pass a law that copycats Florida's, where if it's a 2-story townhouse or condo like area, the reserves need to cover the funding if something bad happens to them. In 2021, the collapse of the Champlain Towers in Surfside, Florida, caused other states to look into adding more funds to the reserves so that they need to be able to pay down 85% of rebuilding all their structures if they end up collapsing. So there's going to be special assessments that are added that won't be put up front on Zillow or Realtor.com. And they probably won't even tell the homeowners anyway until it's about to happen. It's just like, by the way, you're going to have to pay this one-time special assessment. So if you want to get a condo or townhouse, you're going to need to search the reserve funding anyway, the reserve study anyway. And that's going to be brutal because you're going to have to pay in so much more to get to that 85% by the year 2035. Finally, trying to buy a single-family home is brutal because the ones I'm looking on Zillow, either they're completely unfinished basements, they've had mold, anything, of course, in realistic price range is tough. Some of them don't even have 4 sides to the building. Like, there's just no back. It's just brutal out there.
No one can buy a house anymore. So now we're forced to rent. But then the rent got expensive. So now we have to buy an RV. Now, it's illegal to live in the RV. So we try to live in our car. It's legal to live in the car too! So we become homeless? We can still live on the street. But you know, that's legal.
This is not my regular content, but I just got our HOA dues for 2026 in the mail. And my husband and I just went over it, and oh my gosh, we probably spent like 20 minutes just like talking mad poop because we're just so angry. If you are thinking about moving or buying a house, please think twice before purchasing a home that has an HOA because they will do nothing but take you. So let's go over our dues, shall we? So let's just mind you, when we moved into this house a little bit under 3 years ago, our HOA dues were at $300 a year. It is now at $425 a year. Okay? And there's also like 100 houses in this neighborhood, so think about all the money that they're making, right? So when we first moved in, apparently there was this huge lawsuit happening where one of the neighbors had built a shed along the pond, and well, that's a big no-no. Well, they had put in a request. So to move a freaking bush, you have to write a request to HOA to move a bush, and then they have 30 days to respond to you. Well, unfortunately, the person that was supposed to respond had passed away, but we didn't. The person that put in the request didn't know that they died. And they went ahead and just did anyways, because the rule is if they don't respond, you can go ahead and do it. Well, they did it, and HOA came back and sued their butts. Sued them for what? For what? It's their property. I just don't understand it. So they got sued, and it cost a grand spanking total of $23,271. And guess who paid for it? The sweet neighbors, all of us. And we just moved in. We had no idea what was going on. This lawsuit has happened before we moved in. And HOA lost. Duh, they lost. The person still has her shut up. And I guess that person that they actually sued moved away. So they paid nothing. So they got sued, they won, and then they moved. So here we are paying all the legal fees, right? So we are paying $3,000 for insurance. Whose insurance are we paying for? Legal fees now in 2026 are going to be $2,000. So they went from $23,000 to 2025 $6,000, and now they're going to be $2,000. Okay, and then our website that no one ever freaking uses is $1,530 for a website. Mowing is 40 grand. It was 35,000 last year, but now it's 40 grand. Wow. For the irrigation and pond, 9,000. For what? What are we feeding the fish? Tree removal, which I've never seen these freaking people remove a tree ever, 10 grand. Utilities, 4,800. What? Why are we? What? Commons area, 500. We have a gazebo and a pond. Then for some reason it has rent, $100. Who are we renting? And then for the meetings that we have once a month, apparently, that we've only been to one time, we pay a grand spanking of $200. When we went, they didn't even serve cookies. Gosh, at the bottom it says, we have tabled discussion of fees and fines for a few months. Well, then you better give me my $200 back if we're not having the meetings. And if we do have a meeting, there better be a dang feast. Anyways, let me add, when we first moved in, we refused to pay the legal fees because they were charging us $300 plus like an additional $95 emergency fund because they were out of money in the budget to pay the legal fees. Like, that sounds like a you problem, not a me problem. Anyways, we fought it. We didn't pay it for like a year. And then we ended up having to pay like $1,200 to the HOA because they put a lien on our house. So if you don't pay your HOA dues, they will put a lien on your house. But we paid it. We're good. But I still want to move every single day because I hate them.
So I have a decent job. I make $28 an hour. I work almost full time. Sometimes the doctor I work for is out, so I don't get scheduled, or the day is not as full as it should be for the amount of assistance, so I miss some hours, but not very often. Most often I work a full work week. Why is it that I'm working a full work week, making a decent amount an hour, and I'm still not able to like pay my bills? Like, I have a daughter and it's just me and her, and like, I don't extravagantly spend my money. I'm driving a 2015. I'm wearing scrubs that are 4 sizes too big for me because I'm not replacing them. Like, I don't buy makeup, I don't buy hair products, I don't buy new clothes. Like, I don't really do any activities because I don't have the money to do it. How are people affording life? Like, I just feel stressed all the time. I'm stressed all the time about money. And I know they say that like money doesn't buy happiness. And I'm not saying that I'm not happy because I feel fulfilled in my life with my child and with my friends. But like, if I wasn't stressed about buying groceries or getting gas so that I can make it to work, I would be a lot happier.
What we just watched isn't an isolated problem. It's not a few people making bad financial choices. It's a deliberate, systemic extraction of wealth from the American working class. Whether it's Wall Street firms turning single-family neighborhoods into permanent rental zones, massive corporations jacking up the price of basic groceries while claiming inflation, or predatory HOAs acting like unregulated local governments, the goal is exactly the same: to bleed you dry. We are rapidly shifting into a society where every waking second is monetized and basic stability is a luxury item. When full-time medical assistants and dual-income couples can't afford rent, utilities, and a trip to the grocery store without panic, the system isn't just failing. It's actively functioning exactly the way the people at the top designed it to. I want to hear from you in the comments. What is the one specific bill or everyday expense that finally made you realize the math just doesn't work anymore? Let me know down below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.